Hey, good afternoon. This is First Warning Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. A very interesting situation setting up weather-wise. Everything's been delayed about 24 hours. We thought this rain was going to start yesterday, but as you can see, it's still just now entering the area. Now, it's been raining heavily all morning in the mountains and foothills, and the rain's been slowly moving to the east. You can see temperatures east of I-77 have snuck into the low 70s, but you see the heavy rain back to the west. In fact, several flash flood warnings in southwestern North Carolina and the upstate of South Carolina as we get this southeasterly flow. As you widen this out, you can see this plume of moisture which extends all the way down into the tropics. Let's show you the actual surface observations. It is raining just about everywhere to our west and south right now, and as we go into the afternoon hours, heavy rain is going to move in. The interesting thing is back under this upper low, which is over northern Mississippi, all of this is rain right now, but it's just a matter of time before this changes over to snow tonight. Look at the temperatures back here under the upper low, mid to upper 30s. While it's 72 right now in Charlotte, it is currently 39 degrees right now in Macomb, Mississippi, 39 in Natchez, Mississippi, and 49 in New Orleans. But it's this area around Memphis to Tupelo to Huntsville that will likely see the best chance of accumulating snows. That's where they have a winter storm watch in effect. In fact, let's show you what it looks like as you start closing off some of these upper level isobars. This is the 300 millibar chart. The jet stream is now cut off this low pressure center over the lower Mississippi River Valley. It's just like a river. If you think about the water flowing like this, it made a big dip and then went up. Eventually, it's going to cut off this little bend in the jet stream. In a river, that would be an oxbow lake. In this case, we end up with an upper level low which spins counterclockwise away from the polar jet, which is now back up here into Canada. But this has an interesting feature to it. It brings cold air aloft down to the surface. 500 millibar vorticity is off the charts with this thing. When you look at that, look at the amount of vorticity in here. So this thing is going to crank out a lot of snow, and it's going to dynamically cool the air. What I mean by that is it's actually going to drag cold air from aloft down to the surface when heavy precipitation starts to develop. That's why you're going to see wet, heavy snow in a lot of these locations. So if we look at some of the, let's turn off the radar. We'll turn on the actual model data. That's looking at some model data at shear. There's a lot of shear. Thank goodness there's not a lot of instability. But let's look at snowfall on the NAM4. This is the 4-kilometer NAM. We'll go out into the future. And you can see this is the first area of heavy snow, basically the Region 8 area in northeast Arkansas, the boot heel of Missouri. And if you go out about 24 hours, this actually starts to move into Tennessee, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, even the mountains of North Georgia, and eventually the North Carolina mountains. I think the heaviest snow would actually end up being probably in the Smokies out of this. There is a lot of moisture. I don't want that to be discounted because if you look at the water vapor loop, there's a connection not only to the Pacific being pulled in, but also down into the Caribbean. So there's a lot of moisture getting pumped into this thing, and that's why there's flash flood watches up for a lot of areas. Best snow potential right now is going to be here in northeastern Mississippi, northwestern Alabama, and southern Tennessee. But the rain will end up being the biggest story. You see the flood potential that we're going to have in the southeast-facing slopes here in the southwestern part of North Carolina, the upstate of South Carolina. Because when you look at this, let's turn the radar back on the satellite, and you'll see what's going on here. You've got southeasterly winds bringing in moisture, and it's just pushing it right into these eastern and southeastern facing slopes, and that will enhance the rainfall total. So unfortunately, flooding will be the biggest threat from the storm as we go into the afternoon. Snow threat is still there, but really for North Carolina, the snow is the least of our worries in this situation. It's really a flooding threat, and even in the Piedmont, we will see about 1 to 2 inches of rain here, but with the leaves off the trees and clogging up storm drains, we could see some flooding. So the potential is there that we will see some flash flooding. I'll loop this a couple of times, and you'll get an idea of where all this stuff is going. I mean, it's just amazing the amount of moisture being pumped in here. The upper low is going to track up through Tennessee, up through West Virginia, and up into the Northeast, so most of the cold air aloft is going to miss us. But look at this plume of moisture. This is our heavy rain as we go into the evening. Of course, I'll keep you up to date on Facebook, Twitter, WCNC.com, and starting today at 4 on News Channel 36. I'll see you then.